Namaste friends, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel Thermal Talks. Today, let us understand the concept of thermal resistance and temperature distribution within the material. We know that pressure difference is the driving force for fluid to flow. Friction and other losses are resistance to fluid flow. And then we have voltage difference, which is a driving force for electric current to flow, and electrical resistance, which is a material property which offers a obstruction to the flow of current. And similarly, we have temperature difference as a driving force for heat to flow. And in this presentation, let us go through the basic understanding of thermal resistance. Now, for one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer without heat generation, we can say thermal resistance of a material or a medium which resists the flow of heat. So mathematically, we can write the rate of heat transfer is equal to temperature difference over thermal resistance. So we can write a mathematical equation for thermal resistance like this, which means to say that for every degree change in temperature of material, how much of heat is transferred within the material. Thermal resistance in conduction. From Fourier's law, we can write the equation of heat conduction as minus K A into temperature gradient T2 minus T1 over L. Now, from the definition of thermal resistance, I can rearrange the terms in such a way that there is only temperature difference is at the numerator. So here the thermal resistance is nothing but the length of the material over thermal conductivity into cross sectional of the material, which is normal to the heat flow. Now if you see all three parameters, the length and the cross sectional area, which are the dimensional properties of a material, and K, thermal conductivity, which is a thermodynamic property or thermal property of a material. So material will define whether heat should be allowed to flow or it should be restricted. So for conduction within the material, the resistance is length of a material over thermal conductivity into cross-sectional area. Similarly, thermal resistance in convection. From Newton's law of cooling, we can write the equation H into surface area into temperature difference between surface and ambient fluid temperature. Then again rearrange the terms on right hand side so that there is only temperature difference at the numerator. So therefore the thermal resistance in convection is 1 over convection heat transfer coefficient into surface area of the material. So here convection heat transfer coefficient, which is not a thermodynamic property, it depends upon various factors involving convection, and AS is a geometric property of a material. So this is the equation which offers a resistance in convective heat transfer. Now final thermal resistance in radiation. From Stifel-Boltzmann's law, we can write the equation of radiation and again rearrange the right hand side terms in such a way that there is only temperature difference at numerator, which is a mathematical substitution. We can go in this fashion. Finally, we can write the thermal resistance of a material by this. But if you have seen my video on combined heat transfer mechanism, the heat loss due to radiation is much less compared to conduction and convection, and hence for undergraduate studies we neglect radiation heat transfer or resistance offered by radiation while studying conduction and convection. So as we have understood the three different types of thermal resistances, now let us go through the applications of it. Why do we have to study thermal resistance? Is to analyze the problems where one or more modes of heat transfer occur simultaneously. So in previous video we have shown you that in a particular medium there may be one or two modes of heat transfer may happen, but at the surface there may be all the three modes of heat transfer may be occurring. And to analyze the problems where multi-layer materials of different thermal conductivities are used, like composite wall or composite cylinder. So for solving these kind of numericals, it's very important to have a very basic knowledge on thermal resistance. And what are the limitations of it? We can apply the concept of thermal resistance only for one-dimensional heat transfer, steady state, and no heat generation. We'll study about this in next slide regarding a temperature distribution of a material. We have derived the three-dimensional heat conduction equation in my previous video, the boundary conditions for heat conduction equation. And for cylindrical coordinates, we can also write the three-dimensional heat conduction equation in this fashion. But for academic studies, we are not studying all the three-dimensional heat conduction equation. Rather, we are simplifying it to one-dimensional equation wherein we neglect y, z coordinates, internal heat generation and time factor. Then the equation reduces to dou square T by dou x square is equal to 0 for one-dimensional steady state heat transfer without heat generation. Similarly, for cylindrical coordinates, the angle, the z direction, internal heat generation and time factor is reduced, and finally we'll get dou by dou r of r into dt by dr is equal to 0 as a final governing equation for one dimensional steady state heat transfer without heat generation. So let us consider a rectangular coordinates for a plane wall or a composite wall. Let us take this governing equation dou square T by dou x square for one dimensional heat conduction and integrate the equation from both hand sides. Then we'll get constant C1 and again integrate this equation. Then we'll get a temperature distribution equation. So above equation dou T by dou x, which is a temperature gradient equation, and below T of x is equal to C1x into C2 is temperature distribution equation. So if you see the temperature distribution equation, it is very similar to mx plus c. So the temperature distribution is linear within a solid material under one-dimensional heat conduction. So let us solve for constants C1 and C2. So first we have to apply boundary conditions of first kind. For that you can see my video on boundary conditions, wherein first kind is we apply temperature at the surface. So at position x is equal to 0, the temperature is T1, and I'll apply boundary condition at other surface where x is equal to L, the temperature is T2. Now put the value of x is equal to 0 in temperature distribution equation, you will get T1 is equal to C2. So we got the constant C2 value as T1, and same put the value of x is equal to L in temperature distribution equation, and C2 becomes T1 from the previous boundary condition, and we can get the value of C1 as well, T2 minus T1 divided by L. Now for any position within the material from x is equal to 0 to x is equal to L, we can calculate the temperature. So this is what we call a temperature distribution, C1x into plus C2. And now most importantly, temperature gradient. If you remember the Fourier's law of heat conduction, the equation says that the rate of heat transfer per unit area is directly proportional to temperature gradient. Now the temperature gradient is nothing but C1 from this equation, and what is C1? T2 minus T1 over L. So that is the Fourier equation. It is very important to understand that for one-dimensional heat conduction equation in rectangular coordinates or in plane wall or in a composite wall, the heat transfer is the temperature distribution is always linear. Now we will see for cylindrical coordinates, rod, pipe or composite pipes for that matter. The governing equation for one-dimensional heat conduction in cylindrical coordinates is this, and integrate the equation one time, then we will get C1, and R times dt by dr is equal to C1, then dt by dr is C1 by R, and again integrate the equation, we will get C1 into ln R plus C2. So the above equation dt by dr is a temperature gradient equation, and below equation T of R is a temperature distribution equation. If you see here, the temperature distribution is non-linear. It is following a logarithmic graph within the material. So again apply the boundary conditions to this governing equation and solve for temperature distribution. So applying boundary conditions of first kind, where I will apply temperature in the inner surface of the material and at the outer surface of the material. When R is equal to R1 at inner surface, T is T1, and when R is R2 at outer surface, temperature is T2. So therefore T1 is equal to C1 ln R1 plus C2, and T2 is equal to C1 ln R2 plus T2. So these are two simultaneous equations. We can solve this from basic science, basic mathematics, we can solve this, and finally we'll get the value of C1 as T2 minus T1 over ln of R2 by R1, and C2 is equal to T1 minus T2 minus T1 over ln R2 by R1 into R1. If you want to have the substitution steps for this, you can subscribe to my link given below, where you will find the free notes of this. Now from this constants values C1 and C2, let us apply temperature distribution equation. So I am just dragging that semicircle I have shown there into a straight wall. Now you can see the temperature distribution within the material from R is equal to R1 to R2. It is not straight line, it is following a logarithmic curve. So the equation is this: T of R minus T1 over T2 minus T1 is ln of R by R1 over ln of R2 by R1. For any given value of R within R1 to R2, you can get the temperature within the material, and temperature gradient equation is this. I hope you have understood the very basic concept or understanding of temperature distribution. In rectangular coordinates, the temperature distribution is linear. For cylindrical coordinates, the temperature distribution is non-linear. So that is it for today. I hope you have liked the presentation. I request you to subscribe to my channel and share this video among your friends. See you then, till next time.